This morning, we're going to kick it off by hearing from Bennett on a project he's got working on with his school, Colorado College. Bennett?
So last week, I sent a letter to the two co-presidents of my university, Colorado College, asking for them to give the students the day off on election day so that they can go work as poll workers, because the average age of poll workers in the U.S. is 61 and over. And especially during this election period, during COVID, it is going to be really unlikely that people that age that are going to be more at risk are going to be willing to put themselves in harm's way to go work at polling stations. And there's a bunch of college students who are really motivated for this election, especially because of who the people running are and the consequences that the election can have for our country. So I asked our university presidents to give us the day off.
And what have you heard back from them yet? And what's the status?
Yeah, I got a response this morning from the dean of the faculty saying that she has emailed all of the heads of department asking for a vote on whether they think it is a good idea, and they will have the results of that by Friday.
And Mike, what do you think of this initiative and actually your experience as a college student?
Well, this goes way back for me. In 1972 was the first year of the 18-year-old vote. So I was at the first campaign that I was actually eligible to vote in. And Princeton University, where I went, pioneered a program where they gave students an entire week off right during the middle of October during the election season to actually go work at polls for any candidate that they wanted to support. And it was known as the Princeton Plan, and it was, it was fairly current and kind of kept going, and then I think petered out a little bit. But it was, one of the original ideas on how you got university students engaged. But it was, in 1972, the 26th Amendment had just taken place, so 18-year-olds were newly eligible to vote, and so that was kind of a big deal that they leveraged then. But that may be an example of something that could be pursued now, because I think more people working out in the grassroots and getting people engaged and working in this campaign will make a difference.
And what did you do back in 1972?
I worked in New Jersey because I was going to school in New Jersey. So I worked in local precincts in and around Princeton University in the Trenton area, and that's where I met people that eventually got me employed and got me to the U.S. Senate. So it was actually a very worthy way to spend my time.
And Thurgood, how do you see the role that college students play, both in terms of potentially working at polls and voting in this election versus others?
Well, I think Bennett has hit on a tremendous idea. This is the time, the election season, when all sorts of organizations contact their memberships, urging them to participate as either nonpartisan poll workers or election officials, or to help out with partisan activities. And as Bennett has noted, so many of the folks that respond historically in the United States to those requests have been retirees because they've got some time on election day. And so many of that population are being particularly careful because of the health concerns with the pandemic. This is just a tremendous idea, and to get the college campuses engaged. And that is especially so given, as you alluded to in your question, the number of campuses that are located in battleground states and can, in fact, through their participation as voters, have a significant impact in this election. But the notion of volunteering and helping at the polling centers is a way to help these students get fully acclimated in the system and get fully invested in it, and do that at an early stage. For many of these students, it's their first opportunity to vote, and it will lay a foundation for future participation, and I hope running for office and being otherwise involved in policymaking. So I'm very excited. I hope the university comes through on Bennett's idea, and I hope a lot of others use it as inspiration to head out and find opportunities to participate in their jurisdictions.
And Peter, with the battle over mail-in ballots, with the president discrediting them quite a bit, more people are thinking they're going to have to be there in person. How do you see this dynamic impacting the election this year?
Well, I wanted to say to Bennett, I mean, he's hit on a really critical subject. My wife has been an election official for, the past 3 or 4 elections, the last 6 to 8 years. And she is not going in this fall because she's got, a chronic lymphocytic leukemia. So she can't put herself at risk, and they are really short poll workers, not just watchers, but the actual people who check people in. And I think it's going to be critical that we get people signed up for those jobs because they're not going to be able to handle the rush. And they've called my wife back 2 or 3 times to see if she changed her mind. But so it is absolutely a critical issue. Now I do have one question for my august friends on the line. When the Democrats control the House, the Senate, and the presidency, why didn't we move to make Election Day a holiday or a partial holiday? Or were we afraid of who was going to vote?
Well, I'll tell you, go ahead, Mike.
I don't think it was ever raised as a issue that I recall. I mean, I don't remember anyway. It's a good idea that we would make a national holiday like they do in so many other countries, but I don't think it ever came up as a serious issue.
Oh, it should have.
Well, I think the pandemic is going to change a lot when it comes to campaigning and voting, and I think maybe you'll see more college kids doing this going forward. I would hope, and living here in Singapore, where Election Day is a national holiday and it's on a Saturday, it makes perfect sense. Why would you shut down schools for half a day? I remember when I was a little kid growing up in Chicago, and because the polling places was in the cafeteria at my elementary school, you couldn't have lunch, so school would be shut down. This just doesn't make any sense, and maybe it's just never come up before, but hopefully it'll change going forward.
I don't usually interrupt my husband's meetings.
Thank you, Dale.
Well, Bennett, any closing thoughts for us?
I think the plan is to send my letter as a template to people I know at other universities, and also send my article asking them if they would be willing to send a similar letter or the exact letter and just change it a tiny bit, calling for their universities to do the same thing.
Okay, well, good luck with it. I hope that you
Yeah,
make
move
some
fast.
get some people involved.
We need it.
Great idea.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody.